Our water systems have faced many challenges, from industrial pollution to runoff from our highways and homes. And now property development and climate change threaten immediate harm to these rivers and streams that have survived so much. These water systems are all interconnected, from the smallest streams to the largest bodies of water and the ecosystems which they support.
I'm Allison Dixon. I'm the Berkshire Watershed Conservation Manager with the Housatonic Valley Association, which is the watershed organization for the Housatonic River. And I've been with HVA for over 11 years now. I have developed a passion for stormwater. Stormwater runoff is the #1 water quality problem in our rivers. It delivers all kinds of pollutants and volume of water to our rivers. And I almost cry every time it pours because I know that stormwater is hitting these hard surfaces and delivering right to the rivers polluted water. And we need to mitigate it.
My name's Jane Wynn. I'm with Berkshire Environmental Action Team, and I grew up on the banks of the really polluted Housatonic River back when it smelled so bad that when you went over a river bridge, you held your nose. It even caught on fire outside my house one night. Granted, it was at a time where the river would change colors depending on what was being dumped in it that day. If you stuck a stick in the mud, you could get little plumes of oil coming up. But it did mean that I could catch frogs really well. I didn't realize you shouldn't be able to catch frogs easily until I went away to camp. So I've had a passion of trying to clean up the environment all my life.
Allison and Jane are embarking on a new mission to study the possible impact of climate change and other environmental shifts on our local water systems, with a focus on the small, cold water streams which run down from our mountains and hills, feeding the Housatonic River.
We have abundance of cold water streams in the Housatonic Valley in Western Mass, and some of them are coming down those hills behind me. But there's concerns with climate change upon us, so we want to be monitoring now and see if there's any impact to them as temperatures rise, and also if there's any impact from land use changes along the rivers.
The goal of the water temperature monitoring project is to really look at some of the streams we believe are cold water streams that support things like brook trout and slimy sculpin and the macroinvertebrates that those fish feed on, and see if they're really meeting the cold water standards, if they're cold enough, and whether they stay that way throughout the years. Many animals have evolved to live in cold water streams so that they are particularly adapted, and if the water is too warm, they just do not survive or don't thrive.
Well, there are these certain native species that need those cold water streams, like native brook trout, and a lot of the invertebrates that they feed on need that cold water, and we are seeing a decline in those populations, particularly in native brook trout.
Everybody should be interested in our results, all sorts of reasons. First of all, it is a really good way to look at an ecosystem, and when you lose one piece of an ecosystem, you never know how much else is going to fall apart.
We have a number of locations that we're looking at in the Housatonic watershed. We are focused on cold water streams, streams that we might have concerns about.
A couple of my favorite sites on Churchill Brook in Pittsfield, where Housatonic Valley Association and BEAT have just removed 2 culverts and replaced them with bridges, so it's a free-flowing cold water stream, comes out of Pittsfield State Forest, so most of the land is protected, and we're expecting that to have good cold water, and it'll be interesting to see if it changes through the years.
Let's go find the spot. Beautiful day though, isn't it? Yeah, I have the GPS unit too, so get coordinates.
One of the things that we like about this spot is that there's a bit of a pool here, so if things start to dry up a little bit, the logger is still likely to be underwater.
We've got a pretty good location marker with this down tree. So refinding these loggers, if you're setting out multiple, one of the things we'll be doing is making note of where we set it. So I'm going to call this downstream at forked down mossy log. So the logger is secured in here with 2 cable ties. We're going to pop this over the rebar. Okay, there she blows. Our first logger. I'm hoping that we will learn that our cold water streams are truly meeting the standards that the state established for cold water. If we do find some streams that aren't meeting those standards, then it's an opportunity for us to further investigate what is going along that whole river corridor and see if there's any way we can make a difference to mitigate, working with landowners. Also, a number of our streams may have landowners that are willing to offer up their property for protection. We want to protect the cold water streams. We need that shading along them, the riparian buffers that protect the stream temperature. So it may be an opportunity to see where there's some land that could afford future protection.
So really important to see that our ecosystem is thriving. If it's not, we should all be concerned. And also this will give us some more data about climate change, and hopefully we can really get our politicians to get moving and take action so that we limit the amount of climate change we experience.
I think the work is fascinating, and I feel like the work is now. It's important work that needs to be attended to now. So we're making a huge difference. And anytime you're sampling, we're also doing bacteria monitoring. It's just exciting to see the results and then take it the next step and